Good morning. This is video login tree 186. It's about 11 a.m. CST. Um, the reason nowadays, at least for these videos, it's less regular. But if I have something that's of some substance, I usually talk about it. The substance that I guess I feel like talking about today is like, I think in the last video I was talking about the last couple of videos has been around purpose and character-like qualities to develop in your lifetime if you want to be serious about your life. And I've been watching videos and absorbing content pertaining to exhibiting king-like, emperor-like qualities that can be cultivated over time and whatnot. And of course, like anybody else, you should be able to parse through the weaknesses that need to be developed if you want to exhibit those qualities, because it's necessary if you want to take your life seriously to any extent. I was looking at that and I wrote a list of things that I have and don't have. And I actually, the funny thing is I have all of them. It's just that, of course, like anything else, even though you may have those qualities, they can still be sharpened to some extent. I think my biggest weakness is being able to cultivate relationships. That's something I've been working on over the years. And now actually the universe has decided to present the opportunity for me to be able to hold relationships with people. Just recently, actually, I think like a week and a half ago, I met a group of people. I think they're primarily, there's one Caucasian person, I think 2 or 3 of them are Filipinos. And there's also one mixed person as well. There's a light skin, I guess, I don't know what like his ethnicity is. I think it's like a portion of it's African American and a couple other things, but he's light skin. I knew, just because of course, if you are to any degree religious at all, you don't even have to be religious per se. You can even use mathematics and your observation of the universe to be a form of faith. At least that's my route that I've taken. Mathematically, you can actually form a faith. And, like anything else, like I mentioned, I want to take my life more seriously. Therefore, the environment that I want has to be complemented properly. And that complement is exhibiting emperor-like qualities. Because, like anything else, your life can be seen as an empire, no matter how small or big it is. So it's necessary. So that's why I've been developing those qualities and whatnot. And now, again, I went on a slight tangent. I've gotten more open towards relationships, and now that I'm more open and my heart space is more open, I guess you could call it that, it's giving me the necessary experience to be able to garner relationships with other people, actually to the extent in which I actually wasn't expecting myself to be so open at times. But I can literally just talk to strangers if I wanted to, just anywhere at any time if I feel like it. And that's how open I am nowadays, and which is good. I mean, that's it's supposed to be healthy, right? That shows that I've healed myself enough to the point in which my own subconscious isn't stopping me from opening up to people that you don't even know. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird. I guess you could say my intuition knows when somebody's good or bad. I think my eyes are pretty much like an X-ray. I've seen so many people at this time, and I'm very observant. I can read social cues really easily. If I'm seeing somebody face to face, I can tell pretty quickly if they're a good or bad person, or somebody that I can trust. And part of it's my intuition, and part of it's actual like physical representation of what the information is presented to me as. It takes me a couple seconds typically. So I've met a group of people. They seem good for the most part. They seem like, all of them are good. There was like this guy, the main guy, I would say probably like the leader of the group, because he's like the one that's always planning events and doing things. And we've talked a couple of times. Very, very, very intelligent. He had a startup. I think he worked at a startup, tech, of course. You can just tell when somebody's smart, just by his achievements and just the way he talks. And he's done a lot of stuff. I think he was, he again, tech. So I think there were a few times in which he was given the opportunity to work at Google, but there was something going on with his, I think he had like a relationship with somebody, so he couldn't do it. So again, like if you're working at Google, you have to be fairly smart. At least higher than average when it comes to intelligence. So I talked to him a couple of times. Seems like a good person that I can trust and actually be able to hold a relationship with, because I feel like I found somebody at my level, which is nice. I usually don't run into people at my level, so it's good. And then there was like this other guy that I ran into yesterday. Again, me being open, like I was listening. Funny thing is, I was just listening to music and I was kind of in my role, but I still said something that's also not something that I would do to somebody. I think, again, that was more of an intuitive thing. Something told me to say something to them, and I did. And they were having a food delivery and for Domino's, and I just said, I don't know why. I'm a little bit weird at times, so I just said nice food. So I was like, what? I don't know. It was the first thing that came out of my head, because again, I was like distracted in my own world and I wasn't really completely in my environment. So I complimented his food. And which is normal, because like, what else would I have been able to say when he was walking to his apartment with food? That was like the most apparent thing. I could have been a little bit more tactile about it, but it's fine. But yeah, so we talked for a little bit, and yeah, he's awkward. Like, he started, like, I don't know. I can tell he's socially awkward just by the way he was laughing and whatnot. I'm not sure if it was maybe I think I'm fairly intimidating to most people, because most people don't give me eye contact. Although I'm fine with giving eye contact if they want to, but they usually look away. This guy was also looking away. There are a few people that can give me eye contact when I'm talking to them in most cases. But he was, again, this is like, I think he exhibits like some form of social anxiety and whatnot. So it's fine. I'm also like that at times too. So I can't really say much about it. So yeah. Anyways, yeah. So I got his phone number. So he happens to be somebody that lives in my building, and then everybody else actually lives pretty close to me too. The group that I was talking about. So I'm not sure if like he seems fairly outgoing regardless. I think he's just a generally anxious person, which is fair. So I mean, I'm not sure if he wants to like do something like just hang out. He seems nerdy as well, so he's probably like tech oriented as well. I could just tell, hunchback, and also just by the fact that like flimsy arms, and you can tell he sits in front of a computer a lot because of the way his neck is crooked forward. Obviously, that shows that his posture is like it's just sitting in an office all day, pretty much, which is fine, I guess. I don't really care about that. Also, like his arms were kind of like hunched forward. Again, like you're reaching in front of a keyboard, so. Again, you can just tell just by people's postures that they have an office setting in most cases. So I'm not sure if it's more administrative stuff or tech stuff, or maybe it's I don't know. He seemed like he was in his 30s, and I think I've seen him a couple times too. I've seen him wear different shirts and whatnot, but I didn't really get to read them, so I can't really extract much information from him as of now. But again, he just looks like a nerd. So if you're a nerd, then you're most likely and socially awkward. Most likely, you're not going to be in an extrovert environment, meaning it's probably going to be more specialized, maybe potentially administrative. But also, I don't know, like in an office like administrative environments, I think you're communicating with people a lot, so I think it would have to be more specialized in that if you want to just be in your own world. So I think he's probably specialized in the tech domain of some sorts, just by what I've collected from him. But so he looks cool. Looks cool. I don't know why I said it like that, but yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like that's good. I'm finding different avenues, even though I prefer to focus on platonic stuff as of now, because I have a lot of other things that I'm concerned about. I don't think romance is really. I mean, I'm generally open to romantic relationships, but at the same time, it's just something that's not really in my my field of view, FOV. I don't know why I said it like that, but anyways, that's not something I'm focused on. Yeah. So, again, like romantic relationships, if I had to explain it properly, it's just like, again, I'm a picky person. I want the right person in my life, and I'm fine with waiting for as long as I need to. Maybe not as long as I need to, but that could be never. I could be single for the rest of my life. It's funny thing is, actually, I'd be fine with being single for the rest of my life. It doesn't really matter to me, which is good, because in most cases, if you're not content with being alone, people will find leverage points to try to manipulate you into kind of adhering to their needs. And I've kind of evolved to the point in which I don't like. They can't do that to me anymore. There are no leverage points for them to find weak points in my own psyche to get what they want from me. So it's good. Yeah. So I don't know. I've just been kind of like contemplating, and again, I'm going another side tangent, but the main the main focus of this video is like what is an emperor, and like, or what are the qualities in which I would have to develop most in my life to make myself exhibit those qualities. Um, Again, like I mentioned, cultivating relationships, being diplomatic, and not being selfless all the time. Of course, you should be centered, but also being selfless in the right moments at the right time is necessary, because it's a if you want to be all encompassing, of course, you need relations with other people. So centeredness is, I think, my centeredness is pretty good. Like, I tend to be fairly. I like to believe that I'm immune to most criticism, not in a bad way, as long as the criticism is correct to an extent. But I'm talking about like criticism coming from jealousy, or thinking what's best for me, or thinking how I should conduct myself. I will take it in, and I'll use my own, like, what's in my own mind to let that information change me in the right manner. But I'm not going to allow other people to try to tell me what's best for me when I already know what's best for me, right? So like, my centeredness is pretty good. The only time in which my centeredness isn't is when I'm in high pressure environments. I've gotten much better. I think, again, like I've mentioned, like, it's good to allow some chaos into your life. You shouldn't always be comfortable, because eventually, once you've reached a certain state of comfort, if you get too comfortable, that chaos will come back into your life in some manner. So it's good just to keep moving forward and to keep improving in different areas, because it's also a good training ground for understanding that this world can't be controlled completely, and you kind of have to, quote unquote, go with the flow in a lot of cases. But at the same time, anyways, what I was trying to say is that centeredness is something I've been working on to an extent, and it's being able to stay centered even in the middle of a storm, right? It's not just being centered in like your own structure that you've already built at a certain time period. So it has to be both, of course. So I'm usually pretty centered in both kinds of environments. So my centeredness is okay. It can be better, of course, like anybody else. I think anybody else can. There's always room for improvement, I guess, for that. But it's pretty good. Discipline and like self-initiative is something I've gotten better at. I can say I've improved in that manner. It could be a lot better. I could be more action oriented. I think there are times in which I tend to procrastinate on things. So of course that can be developed too. In most cases, if a thought of a certain action needs to be done, I can do it. There are a few things here and there that my head gets in the way of, but again, like I'm imperfect, like, right? We're all imperfect creatures. So so that's like something, again, like something that can be built through just constant exposure and rewiring your neural pathways through just doing the same thing. Not the same thing necessarily, but kind of putting yourself in that mindset of like, as soon as you think about it, you just do the thing without having to think about it. Like, you shouldn't overthink it, right? I tend to be a chronic overthinker, and I've gotten better, but there are times in which my overthinking and trying to analyze everything, just because I do like controlling things a lot, get in the way of what needs to be done. So it takes time. Communication, I think I'm fairly communicative. I could be better, of course. You can always improve in that. Again, these are all just things that can be improved pretty well. I like to believe that my communication is good. I have a fairly expensive vocabulary. In most cases, I can explain most thoughts in my head. Maybe it'll take a little bit longer in comparison to. I get distracted easily as well. So of course, I get sidetracked, and bringing the point across can be difficult at times for me, just because it branches out really quickly. But in most cases, I can communicate pretty directly when I have to. So my communication's okay. I think sometimes I miss out on things. Like I forget to tell things to people that they should know at times. In most cases, I think it's not because I don't know it, but also I'm forgetful at times, and that stems from forgetfulness and not necessarily the capacity to be able to communicate with somebody properly. There's that, and innovation. apparently it's like another thing. I found all this on Perplexity. I'm a creative person. Like I am a creative thinker. I don't have issues thinking outside the box when I need to, as long as I'm properly focused on that task. It's not something that is difficult to me. I'm a creative person. I at least believe I am. I think I'm pretty creative. Although, you would think there's like, aren't more logical people not as creative, but not necessarily. I think I have it's just my my logical faculties tend to outshine my creative capacity, because creation can be is like, again, being logical also requires you to be creative, because they come from certain axioms, right? So that means you are creating an axiom for a basis of logical functions. So it's just like it's still creation. So it's just a different kind of creation. It's a less rigid form, or a more rigid form of creation. I am creative. It's just maybe not in the conventional sense. If you think about a creative person, you think of like screenwriters or artists, and that's like the higher end of creativeness, because there's not many. It's not as rigid, and you don't have as many constraints as opposed to the more mathematical and analytically focused endeavors. But again, I am still pretty creative in my opinion. Anyways, innovation. Like I would say that I'm fairly balanced in both my left and my right brain. I believe so. Maybe other people don't think I'm that creative, but I don't know. So what am I saying? Again, like these ones are pretty like straightforward in most cases, like leading by example. Like I could be better in that, but then like leading by example also requires you to have a lot of initiative too, and looking at a problem and instantly tackling it as an example for, because I think people respect me in most cases, because I don't need to control somebody or my environment through force, simply because I am respected, right? I think a leader needs to be respected to some degree. So since I am considered to be respected, I can control my environment by leading through example, and most people usually follow through. I've seen that everywhere, and like just being in society as a whole, and in my workplace. In most cases, I tend to be not necessarily the leader at times. I know when to lead and when not to lead, right? Like anybody else, it's dependent on the situation at hand. I can't have full control of everything. I'm not really a competitive person either. I think I am competitive. It's just more of a subtle form of competition. I just know where to place my energy and where not to, right? So it's a smart form of competition. So there's that, and I focus on public welfare. That's constant. I'm a very selfless person as well. So public welfare is something that's always in the back of my mind. Everywhere, no matter where I'm at, no matter what I'm doing, I get out of my way to help people too, no matter where I have to go. Whether it's like small things like just helping people without advice, and sometimes I just talk to my stranger if they seem lost. With strangers in general, this is like me just being generally open to the world, and knowing. It's just like, I guess it's like at this point I used to have like this idea, an inkling of being one with the world. It's more of a feeling nowadays, so it's just subconscious for me too. It's more it's not something I really think about. It's all in my subconscious. I help people when I think it's necessary to do so, and when the opportunity presents itself. So again, it's just and adaptability. Again, I'm fairly adaptable. There are times in which I don't like change, but I think adaptability is probably the hardest for me, just because I'm usually pretty rigid. I like my routines and whatnot, and adaptability can be difficult at times. I like thinking things through before I do them. But also being adaptable means that you have to think on your feet. You can't think things through, and you have to use your intuition more in a lot of cases, because there's a time frame in which you just have to take action, right? So, yeah. I think that's like the hardest one for me is adaptability. Yeah. Let me circle that, because again, adaptability is just it can be built over time, and that's mainly being in chaotic environments, which is why I decided to put myself in situations in which I have to think on my feet, as opposed to being more analytical and trying to look at every single variable and all that. So it's just easier that way. It's just forcing yourself in environments that allow you to cultivate those parts of yourself. Yeah. So, and then like I think I already talked about, that was the last thing on my list. Even though I don't know why I talked about the last thing on my list at the beginning, but yeah, I was talking about relationship building and whatnot. So I mean, I think those are all pretty much it. I think I do show those qualities. It's just that some can be improved more than others, and for me, I think it's adaptability and just thinking on my feet more. Yeah, I don't know. I think I've talked about all this though. It's just that I didn't really compactify it into a list in which I went through each and every one. It's just that like over the span of like the past 2 years, I think all of that has been developing. I don't know, fairly quickly. I don't know. I wouldn't say fairly quickly. Maybe a little bit slower in comparison to the average person, but it's showing. So I don't even know. Yeah. 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 I don't know what else to talk about, but yeah. So yeah, again, like I think these are wonderful qualities. I'm seeing a lot of repeating numbers again. These are qualities that will allow me to become the component of the environment that I would like to have. So of course it's a necessary action I have to take. So I'm simply just going to do it, regardless of what kind of obstacles or challenges may arise. Resilience is not something that I'm unaccustomed to, so it's natural. I've always been a resilient human being. I can pretty much get through anything if I want to. Yeah. So I have a thing going on tonight, so I think I may go to this arcade with those guys that I talked about. They also have a basketball group on Mondays, I think. I missed out last week because I overslept, and they usually start at noon. And instead of that, I actually went to this place called Birds with the guy I was talking about, and we hung out for a little bit, and it was fun. It was fun. I personally, I enjoyed our conversation. I wanted it to last for longer than what transpired, but it'll like again, like there'll be multiple times in which I'll be able to talk to my new friend. So yeah. Anyways, yeah. I don't know. I'm just very contemplative day. I wouldn't even say I'm very extroverted. It's just right now I have something I feel like talking about. Because if you're an extroverted person, it's not. It's kind of. I don't know. Like right now I don't feel extroverted at all. It's because when you're more extroverted, you tend to also like interact with your environment more too. This is more just all in my head. I've been like that for like the past 2 or 3 days. Yesterday, I don't know, I was very just generally in my head, which is normal for me. I think that's a normal thing. To the point at which I wasn't even looking. I couldn't see things that were right in front of my face. I was just, I don't know, something is running in the back of my head, and I'm just letting it happen. I usually don't beat myself up when I'm in my head, because I know something important is happening to a degree. I just spend a lot of time thinking too, so yeah. So yeah, I really don't know what else to talk about, so I'm excited for, again, I'm going to an arcade tonight, and I don't know, I went over there once before, and it's fun, and I get to hang out with people. Now, again, I don't know, like, I may just go to the basketball group tomorrow, and just play basketball with them. I think they have a few indoor courts over at the park that I'm thinking about right now. But if I don't feel like going to the arcade tonight, then I'll probably just do that tomorrow and have fun regardless. I think, again, I like to at least go out once a week. So yeah. Twice a week is a little bit too much for me, so I don't know. I think I'm going to have to sacrifice going to that place today. Depending. I'm going to kind of play it by ear. I'll see how I feel after work. So, yeah. Anyways, I think that's it. I don't really have a lot to say right now. I guess, there is this other thing. I did, I like analyzing literature a lot, so I got myself the King James Bible, and I've been kind of like reading through that a lot. Not a lot, but I've been trying to get myself to. Again, I read a lot, so I'm fairly skeptical of a lot of things. But again, it could be analyzed as a nonfiction piece of literature, so it's fun. Yeah, so we'll see. Also, like I've been going to seminars for the Bible as a way to deconstruct it properly, because somebody going in that's never been exposed to the scripture or the Bible would be confused. So I am using this course that this friend actually recommended to me as a guiding light for it. So yeah. Anything else that's new? Not much. Anyways, I guess I'm gonna go. Bye bye.